সেনাপতি বিবেকানন্দ হইছে ডাকিছে আয় রে আহ্বানে তার আপনা পুরিয়া কত মহারথী ছুটিয়া যায় বীর সেনাপতি। আত্মত্যাগে অগ্নিমন্ত্রী দীক্ষিত হইল বীরতন্ত্রে। আত্মত্যাগে অগ্নিমন্ত্রী দীক্ষিত হইল বীরতন্ত্রে। পরমাণু জাত দ্বৈত দলিতে আপনা শক্তিতে জাগিয়া বীর সেনাপতি। স্বার্থদণ্ড ভোগলাভর এনেছে জগতে সুফলাভর। স্বার্থদণ্ড ভোগলাভর এনেছে জগতে সুফলাভর। তাতে আজিতে সেই জামানল প্রেম বাড়ি সেজে নেমেছে করুণানিধান ভগবানী মম তনু মনোপ্রাণ। এসো রে এসো করুণানিধান ভগবানী মম তনু মনোপ্রাণ। কৃপা করি করো হে আশিস দান তব কাজে যেন জীবন যায় বীর সেনাপতি। বীর সেনাপতি বিবেকানন্দ হইছে ডাকিছে আয় রে আহ্বানে তার আপনা পুরিয়া কত মহারথী ছুটিয়া যায় বীর সেনাপতি। বীর সেনাপতি বীর সেনাপতি। সত্যমঙ্গল প্রেমময় তুমি ধ্রুবজ্যোতি তুমি অন্ধকারে। তুমি সদা যাও দিনে বিরাজ দুঃখ জানা সেই ভাষণে সব দুঃখ জানা সেই ভাষণে। সত্যমঙ্গল প্রেমময় তুমি ধ্রুবজ্যোতি তুমি অন্ধকারে। তুমি সদা যাও দিনে বিরাজ দুঃখ জানা সেই ভাষণে সব দুঃখ জানা সেই ভাষণে। সত্যমঙ্গল প্রেমময় তুমি ধ্রুবজ্যোতি তুমি অন্ধকারে। তোমারো জ্ঞানে তোমারো ধ্যানে তব নামে কত মাধুরী। তোমারো ধ্যানে তব নামে কত মাধুরী সেই ভক্ত সেই জানে সেই ভক্ত সেই জানে তুমি জানাও যারে সেই জানে ওরে তুমি জানাও যারে সেই জানে সত্য মঙ্গল প্রেমময় তুমি তবু জ্যোতি তুমি অন্ধকারে তুমি সদা জানো দিনে বিরাজ দুঃখ জ্বালা সেই কাশরে সব দুঃখ জ্বালা সেই কাশরে সত্য মঙ্গল প্রেমময় তুমি দুর্গ জ্যোতি তুমি অন্ধকারে জয়ধ্বনি উঠিল বিশ্বজয়ী বিবেকানন্দ আসিলেন জয়ধ্বনি উঠিল বিশ্বজয়ী বিবেকানন্দ আসিলেন আয় 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 রে চলে আয় 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 রে চলে আয় রথচক্র টানিব সবাই আরে রথচক্র টানিব সবাই জয় 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 বীরেশ্বর বিবেকানন্দের জয় জয়ধ্বনি উঠিল বিশ্বজয়ী বিবেকানন্দ আসিলেন বিজয়ীর বেশে আসিছেন তিনি টঙ্কারে ঘোষিলেন পানি মন্ত্র সম বিজয়ীর বেশে আসিছেন তিনি টঙ্কারে ঘোষিলেন পানি মন্ত্র সম জৈল হস্তি অসুষ্ট রাজারা হইলেন গুলুণ্ঠিত আজিয়া উঠিল জয় সঙ্গীত আয় 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 রথচক্র টানিব সবাই তারে রথচক্র টানিব সবাই জয়ধ্বনি উঠিল বিশ্বজয়ী বিবেকানন্দ আসিলেন উড়ায় বিজয় নিশান আসিল বঙ্গ উড়ায় বিজয় নিশান আসিল বঙ্গ করহি প্রণাম তারে বারে বার দিতে হবে তার গর্ব সামনে আসিলেন রথচক্র টানিব সবাই তারে রথচক্র টানিব সবাই জয়ধ্বনি উঠিল বিশ্বজয়ী বিবেকানন্দ আসিলেন জয়ধ্বনি উঠিল বিশ্বজয়ী বিবেকানন্দ আসিলেন বিশ্বজয়ী বিবেকানন্দ আসিলেন বিশ্বজয়ী বিবেকানন্দ আসিলেন বিশ্বজয়ী বিবেকানন্দ আসিলেন বিবেকানন্দ সন্ন্যাসী চিরবৈরিকধারী জয় বিবেকানন্দ। যোগাবুদ্ধি ওম শিখা সম তুমি তেজস্বী তাপস পরম। যোগাবুদ্ধি ওম শিখা সম তুমি তেজস্বী তাপস পরম। উঠিছে তোমার নবীন তন্ত্র, আকাশ বাতাস দুনিয়া তুলিছে তোমার মমল মন্ত্র। নন্দিত ধরা মন্দির মাঝে কর্মের সৌভাগ্য, মোদের বিবেকানন্দ তুমি বিশ্ব বিবেকানন্দ। বিবেকানন্দ তুমি বিশ্ব বিবেকানন্দ। বিবেকানন্দ তুমি বিশ্ব বিবেকানন্দ মোদের বিবেকানন্দ তুমি বিশ্ব বিবেকানন্দ গুরুকে ছবি হেরিয়ে গুরুকে গুরু চরণ ধরে আরতে সেবা হতে আমি আসিয়া নয়ন জলে বিশ্ব প্রেমে বিকশিত করি চিতে ভরসানন্দ মোদের বিবেকানন্দ তুমি বিশ্ব বিবেকানন্দ মোদের বিবেকানন্দ তুমি বিশ্ব বিবেকানন্দ উদারে সাগরে গহনে কাননে সবিলে ঘটনা নিশি তুষার হিমানি গিরিগন্ধে ঘটনা নিশি অঙ্কুর শঙ্কর জ্ঞান সাথে বিবেকানন্দ মোদের বিবেকানন্দ তুমি বিশ্ব বিবেকানন্দ মোদের বিবেকানন্দ তুমি বিশ্ব বিবেকানন্দ জ্ঞানের গরিমা গৌরব গান ভারত মর্মবাণী পাশ্চাত্য শেখা বেদান্ত স্বয়মানি সিংহ ভাবের শক্তি মাধুরী বুদ্ধ নূতন ছন্দ মোদের বিবেকানন্দ তুমি বিশ্ব বিবেকানন্দ মোদের বিবেকানন্দ তুমি বিশ্ব বিবেকানন্দ শিকাগো সঙ্গে সঙ্গীত শীর্ষে উঠিল ভাসি সুমিল বিশ্ব সুমিল বিশ্ব প্রাসাদবাসী শ্রীজিরে শ্রীমঠ কুঞ্জ কুটির তীর্থ মুখরানন্দ মোদের বিবেকানন্দ তুমি বিশ্ব বিবেকানন্দ মোদের বিবেকানন্দ তুমি বিশ্ব বিবেকানন্দ মোদের বিবেকানন্দ তুমি
Thinking the choir just keeps getting better.
Thank you.
So that's a ভালো team আছে, which is working. Really. গতবার বাচ্চারা খুব ভালো করেছিল। হ্যাঁ।
Okay, thank you for such a beautiful program. And next we'll have Sarvabhyanandaji's talk,
And I mean, he needs no introduction, as all of you know. But still, like, he's the minister in Vivekananda Society,
Vedanta Society.
Vedanta Society of New York. So so next he's coming on stage, and he'll be having lecture for next 1 hour, and then we'll have 10-15 minutes of question answer, and then we'll go for the RP and everything.
I'll transfer the mic.
Is this on? It's not on. Is the mic on? Can you hear me? Is this on? It's on. Okay. Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swami Neta Paharini. Dear friends, it's great to be back here again, and I must start by congratulating the choir. I was expecting something good because last time they were really good, and they've just gotten better, which means usually in such cases there is a good core team, who are behind it. Some people are doing a very good job behind it, keeping the group together, and I'm sure a lot of practice goes into it also. So yes, it's a great resource for an ashram to have a very good choir. Very auspicious occasion. This is the Vivekananda Vedanta Center. So this is the birthday of our founder, Swami Vivekananda. So I'll just say a few words about him, and then something that today we can take away from him for our own spiritual lives. About Vivekananda, what can I say? The place I come from, the Vedanta Society of New York, that was founded by Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda himself. It's the first Hindu ashram in the West in 1894. Swami Vivekananda came here in 1893 for the World Parliament of Religions. He represented Hinduism there. And then New Yorkers always taking the initiative. So they went and grabbed Vivekananda first, and then the Vedanta Society of New York was started in 1894. There is a very nice book by Phil Goldberg, American Veda. So the influence of Hinduism in the United States. I mean, a lot has been written about Buddhism and the influence in the West, in the United States and Europe, but less so about specifically Hinduism. So that book deals with the impact of arrival and impact of Hinduism on these shores. It starts before Vivekananda with the American transcendentalists, Emerson, Thoreau, Walt Whitman. And then Vivekananda was the first authentic teacher of Hinduism who came to the West. And a remarkable figure, really. Incredible. Just think of what he did. First of all, here in the West, from this perspective, standing here in America, here was somebody who built a bridge between the East and the West. And over that bridge, over the last 100 years, so much has traveled. The accumulated spiritual treasures of India. Vivekananda himself was followed by Abhedananda and a number of other direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. But quite apart from our lineage, you have so many spiritual teachers coming over from India to the West. Almost immediately, within a decade or so after Vivekananda, there was Paramahamsa Yogananda, the self-realization fellowship, which is still very popular here in the United States. Then there were many others. the whole transcendental meditation movement, Maharshi Mahesh Yogi. Bill Goldberg traces all this out in his book. Maharshi Mahesh Yogi, the transcendental meditation movement, the Hare Krishnas, who are very well known in American life, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, again in New York. So Srila Prabhupada came from India. Then numerous other masters have come. And yoga, of course, one must mention the physical side of it, the Hatha Yoga. Teachers like Krishnamachari, B.K.S. Iyengar, Pattabhi Joyce, all from, interestingly, from the same area in Mysore. And they kick-started a yoga revolution in the United States. Probably until the coming of Baba Ramdev and others, yoga was maybe more popular here in the United States than in India. So all of that, and it continues down to the present age. Vivekananda himself said, like Buddha had a message to the East, I have a message for the West. And the message for the West was the accumulated spiritual treasures of India. And so he was the pioneer. He was, in one sense, the first cosmopolitan, the first global citizen, in one sense. Obama mentioned him when he went to visit India in his talk in the Indian Parliament. He said, the city I come from, Chicago, we had this visitor from your country a long time ago. Trump also mentioned him, but he massacred his name. It's a difficult name. So, no, that's true. Whether it's here or in India, from both sides of the political divide, Vivekananda is one uncontroversial person who is acceptable to everybody across the whole spectrum. I've seen, those of you who are from Bengal, you've seen at one time, whether it is the communists or it is the new dispensation there, everybody adopts or appropriates Vivekananda according to their. So I say, if people from the right and the left, if they all like Vivekananda, then the man did something good. There was something true about him, something valuable and genuine in him, which everybody wants a piece of. Then, if this was not enough, he went back to India after this, what he did here, and then roused his countrymen to a sense of their own glory, their heritage. He said it's not, he walked across the length and breadth of India, something that Gandhi did decades ago. And he came to know what India is. And he said, it's not a civilization. He says the great mother is just sleeping. And he says, the giant will awaken again. So this awakening of his own country into a sense of its own identity, of its greatness, its possibilities. A whole generation of the freedom fighters who fought against British colonialism there. They said we all read Vivekananda when we were young. Whether it's Jawaharlal Nehru, whether it's Subhash Chandra Bose. Subhash Bose writes in his biography, unfinished autobiography of Subhash Bose. So there he writes, at the age of 15, I found the complete works of Vivekananda, the neighbor had it. And in Vivekananda, I found something I'd been looking for. I did not know what it was, but I've been looking for it. And he says, over the next few days, weeks, and months, I devoured Vivekananda. Later, when he would have a conflict with his father, the eminent barrister Janakinath Boshu, who wanted to know, what do you want in life? And Subhash, 17-year-old, Subhash Bose writes to his father that my philosophy is the philosophy of Vivekananda. It defined him. But not just Bose, Gandhi, Nehru, and a whole range of other national leaders in India. Whether it is the national freedom struggle, whether it is women's education through Nivedita and others, science education. Can you imagine a Hindu sannyasi coming on the boat from India to the United States, coming to Canada, actually, Vancouver. And on the ship, he meets Tata, Jamshedji Tata, a Parsi businessman and a Hindu sannyasi. What are they talking about? At that time, Vivekananda was not at all well known. Nobody knew him at that time. What are they talking about? They're talking about the future of science, education, and research in India. And Vivekananda told Tata that this what we need in the country is higher education in science and research. And Tata wrote to him. That letter is available. It's in fact on the Tata's website. That you remember we had met on the ship. By that time, Vivekananda already had become well known. You remember we had met on the ship, and you had suggested to me this idea of starting an institute for higher science and research in scientific research in India. I'm seized of this idea, and I can think of no better director than yourself. Of course, Vivekananda did not become the director, but the later history of it, which was the institute which went on to become the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. Some of you might have studied there. I don't know. Some of you must have visited there or studied there. You meet any group of Indian professional scientists, someone or the other has some connection to that institute, Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. It used to be called the Tata Institute. Even now, the auto rickshaw wallahs, they'll say Tata Institute there. But behind it was a conversation between Vivekananda and Tata. It's a digression, but let me tell you, this much history is known to many people. But what happened afterwards is not known. So Vivekananda died on 4th of July 1902. Tata died a few years after that. He left money for that. Land was the Maharaja there donated. Maharaja of Mysore, I think, donated the land near Bangalore for it. But the British government at that time said the natives have no need of higher education in science. So they said no permission, not giving permission to start this institution. It was Nivedita, Sister Nivedita, Margaret Noble, who fought for it in India, and then she took it to the British Parliament in London and finally got permission to start that institute. We don't know this. What kind of sacrifice Nivedita made for... this time I went to the Bose Institute in Calcutta. The director there, present director, told me some amazing things about their history, which I didn't know. Acharya Jagadish Bose, the very well-known Indian scientist, was a young scientist. When Vivekananda heard him, first time Vivekananda heard him, Sister Nivedita had arranged for him to go to Paris for the exposition there and present his ideas on plant communication, things like that. So, electricity, the effect of electricity on living tissue, plants. And then Vivekananda says to Bose that you have not only electrified the plants but also the audience. And then he told Nivedita that to support this young man. Vivekananda passed away. Nivedita continued to support. And so many interesting things the director told me that Nivedita was 9 years younger than Jagadish Bose, and she used to call Jagadish Bose Khoka. Khoka means a Bengali word for little boy. And amazing stories. Like, I didn't know when the Nobel Prize went to Roentgen, Jagadish Bose had expected he would be given the Nobel Prize. He broke down. He had an attack of depression. And Nivedita says to him, "Kirona Khoka, don't cry. I'll get for you the amount of money you would have got for the Nobel Prize, and you can start an institute with it for science, for your research." She didn't have money. She went and asked for that money from Sarah Bull, the wife of Oli Bull here in the United States, who gave her $4,000, and that $4,000 became the corpus with seed money for starting what is now the Bose Institute. Look at the connections. Vivekananda, Nivedita, Jagadish Bose. So behind even higher science education, women's education, science education, is this monk, Vivekananda, the Indian independence struggle. So many, many things. And of course, us, the Ramakrishna order, the monks and devotees, the ashram which we have here today, named after Vivekananda, all of this is traced back to Vivekananda. What he did here in the West and what he did back in India, and rousing the country to a sense of its, awakening his motherland, as it were. And he did it. And he did it all of this, the bridge between the East and the West, for centuries to come, he said. And the awakening of India. All of this in 10 years. In 10 years, he was done and ready to go. 4th of July, 1902, specifically chosen, the American Independence Day. 4th of July, 1902, he sat in meditation, and then after that, he gave up the body in the evening. At the age of 39, he used to say, "I won't live to see 40. That's why in India, his birthday, in the English calendar, 12th January, that's the National Youth Day. I mean, what an icon for the youth. We will never see an 80-year-old Vivekananda. We lost him early, but for us, always it will be that Vivekananda, the young person, forever, for centuries to come. So that's Vivekananda. Today, over the next, say, half an hour or so, I'll present some ideas and outline. Something for us to think about, and you can ask questions about it in general, about our spiritual life, what we can take away from Vivekananda today, something to take home from here. This is based on a lecture given by Vivekananda in, I think, in New York. It's published in his book Karma Yoga. So it's a small book, Karma Yoga. It's sort of original to Vivekananda, this kind of new thinking about an ancient philosophy. You'll see, as we go on, you'll see what I mean. Salinger, someone no less than Salinger, you remember Catcher in the Rye? J.D. Salinger, he was a disciple of Swami Nikhilanandaji. And he has said, these two classics, Raja Yoga and Karma Yoga, our American youth would do well to carry around in their pockets. In those days, 1960s, said this. So in that Karma Yoga, there is one lecture. One of the chapters is called Freedom. So what I'm going to say is based on that. The full lecture is for tomorrow in the Vedanta Society. That's why you see on the schedule it says freedom and karma. But what you're going to see is a beta run here. What do you call it? A beta test? So, yes. I just give it the outline. The main ideas is presented there. Pretty profound, pretty deep, and something that we can take away, all of us. We will see why it is important and what we can take away from it and really apply. If you want to, we can really apply it. All of us, we can start applying it right away. It's a wonderful new paradigm of spiritual life, which he has given in that one lecture. All right. So he starts off by karma. I have found that people are really interested in karma. It's not really all that important for spiritual life. It might surprise you to know. Vedanta is all about going beyond karma. But people find it absolutely fascinating. I said something about karma somewhere, and that clip was put up on YouTube, and that got like the maximum number of views. I was a little taken aback because I'm not all that interested in karma. Anyway, so what is karma? Why is it important? It is an idea which is ubiquitous in Indian thought. Across Hinduism, across Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, all Indian schools, they accept this idea of karma. What is karma? It's causality. Causes have effects. Actions have consequences. So Vivekananda himself put it very succinctly. He said, good, good, bad, bad, and none escape the law. Whosoever wears a form wears the chain too. Wears a form means who has a body, who is embodied, living in this, like a living being here. We have a chain tied to us. The chain is past karma. Certain things are going to happen to us because of my own past karma. And what we do now, how we react now, will build up future karma. So it is causes have, effects, actions have consequences, basically. If you want to state it a little more clearly, good action called punya, called dharma. Good action, consciously done moral action called dharma, results in what is called merit, punya. This is the belief. Why is it a belief? Because causality is not a belief. Causality is basically the basis of common sense, science. So why am I calling karma, law of karma, belief? Because that good action results in a merit, punya. That's a matter of belief. You don't see it. So it results in this punya, merit. And the merit gives rise to some effect in our lives. This effect is good action will give rise to what is called sukha, something pleasant in our lives. And bad action consciously done, immoral action consciously done, which is called adharma, gives rise to what is called demerit, papa. And that gives rise to something unpleasant in this life or lives to come, which is called dukkha. So now we have dharma, punya, sukha, adharma, dukkha, adharma, papa, dukkha. This is the whole law of karma in sort of, if you want to set it out clearly. This is the claim. Now, how do you apply it? So whatever is happening to me, good and bad, is my doing, and also the doings of people around me. But it's it's not just individual. It could be family, it could be community, it could be nation, it could be just entire human race, whatever it is. So we have a mixed result. And good and bad, it's due to good and bad karma, but primarily my own karma. It is my own doing, and what I do now will result in my future life. What will happen in future life? So this is the law of karma, and Vivekananda says here there is no escape. So law of karma literally means causality rules in this universe. If causality rules, he makes an interesting observation. What about free will? He says there is no such thing as free will in that case, because everything here is determined. Whatever is happening to me is because of what we have done or I have done in the past, and what I'm doing now will determine what will happen in the future. More or less things are determined. So therefore, although we feel we have free will, we believe we have free will, and we base our society, our legal system, our economic system, our political system, all of it is based on the assumption of free will. Without free will, you can't have a judge punishing an accused. You can't have, without free will, you can't have democracy, somebody choosing to this candidate over that candidate. Without free will, you can't even have religion, which tells you do this and don't do that. If there's no free will, what's the point of telling people? And yet, causality, karma, seems to imply that there is no freedom in this life which we are seeing. What is this life? Vivekananda goes on to say that there is actually one unlimited existence, Vedanta, one unlimited existence consciousness place, Satchidananda. It's called Brahman, the ultimate reality, Sat, pure being, pure consciousness. And that appears as this world. From that unlimited existence consciousness bliss appears this world of names and forms, sentient beings like ourselves, this physical world which we inhabit. All of this is an appearance in that limitless existence. In that limitless existence, Vivekananda says, there is freedom, no free will, but freedom. Freedom is possible. There's freedom. Freedom from karma, freedom from causality. But that one comes into this, becomes this universe coming through what is called Maya. So I'm giving some heavy duty Vedantic metaphysics here. Coming through what is called Maya. What is Maya? The definition of Maya is time, space, causation. Desha, kala, nimitta, it's Sanskrit. So the unlimited, the infinite, experienced through time, space, causation is this world. I'll repeat. The infinite, experienced through time, space, causation appears as this universe and as us. We are, this universe is the unlimited. This universe is Brahman, actually, really speaking. And so are we. That is the meaning of the Vedantic teaching, Tat Tvamasi, you are that. You are Brahman. You are Brahman, I am Brahman. And as Brahman, as Satchidananda, limitless existence, consciousness, bliss, we are beyond Maya, we are beyond causality, and therefore free. Freedom is possible as Brahman, as limitless existence, consciousness, bliss. But in the realm of Maya, causality rules. So Vivekananda says the free will is a contradiction in terms. When it becomes will, I want to do something, a choice. Already you have a universe, you have choices, you have a body and a mind, and that is ruled by karma. So the freedom which we may have is actually either illusory or a very small degree of freedom, a little bit of choice maybe. So be that as it may, Vivekananda's point is, freedom is there. That is the ultimate reality. Our divinity, or in theological language, one might say God is free. The rest of us are not. Another way he puts it very powerfully, where does this universe come from? He says it has come from freedom. It is in bondage now, and it will go into freedom again. It has come from Brahman. It is this universe now, and it will regain its nature as Brahman. Only Advaita Vedanta will say here, it appears to be in bondage. It is free even now. You are also free even now. You only seem to be in bondage now. And the difference in Advaita Vedanta, Part2 Vedanta, the difference is between ignorance and knowledge. It's not that there is, religious language makes us believe that there is a place called heaven in which we are free of all worldly sufferings and we are fulfilled and all that. It's not a matter of some space somewhere being better than this. It's not even a matter of time that one day we will be free of all of this. Not even that. What is the difference between freedom and bondage? What is the difference between being embodied in this universe and our real nature as Brahman? The difference is ignorance and knowledge. The difference is ignorance and knowledge. So in Vedanta, the journey is from, the spiritual journey is not from, say, this world to some heaven. Dualistic religion will have us believe that. Or it is not like you have to wait for some time after death, or after the coming of the Christ, or after something will happen, and then you will be free of all of this. No, it is right now, right here, right as we are, but you have to go from ignorance to knowledge, from not knowing what is all this and not knowing who are we to knowing who we are. So the inquiry, who am I? This is Brahman, but the inquiry should be first start with yourself. Who am I or what am I? As long as I think I am this body, Vivekananda said, whosoever wears the form wears the chain also. As long as I think I am the body, I am bound by karma. It is my prarabdha karma which will determine how long I will live, what will be the big ups and downs of my life. My parents and husband, wife and children all determine your karma. If you're complaining, I'm grumbling about my kids or grumbling about my spouse, your karma, by the way. So all of that is determined because of karma. But our real nature as Atman or Brahman, we are always free. Now, what is to be done? Vedanta is very clear about it. You study the Vedantic teachings, you begin to understand it, then we get clarity about it, reason it out. Every question can be clearly answered there. And once you have got clarity, you meditate upon the clarity so gained and realize that I am Brahman. Many have done so before us, many do so even now, and many will do so in the future. This is a royal road, the direct path, very powerful, open to all of us. This is the direct teaching of Vedanta. If you are Brahman, you are free of the limitations of this life and this world. You can realize it and regaining your spiritual empire. You can do that. How do you do that? By knowledge, by realization. So far, this is the background. Now comes the twist in the tail, the problem. See, the way of this way of Vedanta, the problem here is, it's not very difficult to understand what Vedanta teaches. If you listen carefully, if you study carefully, within, I would say, months or years, one can get a pretty good, some amount of clarity. What is meant. And that itself is an amazing thing. But after getting that clarity, what is suggested in Vedanta is, you live accordingly. If you actually do realize, it becomes clear to you, I cannot be this body. This body is an object, just like this object. This body is also an object in me, the consciousness. Even the mind is an object to me in consciousness. I am not the body, not the mind. Body and mind are part of Maya, of this world, and I am consciousness itself. Next, what next, people ask? Then comes the difficult path. Vedanta will say, live accordingly. Live accordingly? What is live accordingly? Live accordingly means you go beyond all fear. Body will die, body will age and die. I have no fear because I am consciousness. I don't age and die. Body is sick or body is healthy. I am consciousness. I am not sick or healthy. I am the witness thereof. I am forever healthy. I am immortal. Now you might say that's easy to say. But when you are faced with disease and pain and death, can we honestly say it to ourselves? And it becomes difficult, very difficult. There are very few people who can honestly say it to themselves. There are people, but there are very few. Can we be like Sri Ramakrishna at the point of terminal cancer and going to die in a few months' time? And he's asked, how are you today? And Sri Ramakrishna says, first he said, it hurts, I cannot eat. And then the person who was asking, Harinath, who later became Swami Turiyananda, says, "But sir, I see that you are in great bliss." And Ramakrishna laughs. Ramakrishna laughs and says, "The rascal has found me out." Shala dhore nahi aise. Can we say that? Most of us are not very confident. First of all, to understand that I'm not the body mind, and then to take a stand on that. Can we say that I am not attracted by anything in the world? Because why should I be so attracted? Vedanta shows me that I am limitless consciousness and the whole universe is like a dream in me. But can I actually react to the world as if it were a dream? Not so easy. Not so easy. So whether it is temptation or whether it is terror, whether it is attraction or whether it is anxiety, it could be anxiety about the body, about family members, about the job, about politics, whatever it is. Fear, anxiety, anger, reaction to the world, unhappiness. None of these is allowable anymore if you are a Vedantin. If you honestly say, "I have got it," what Vedanta teaches, "I've got it," then you lose the right to grumble. I often say that don't be in a hurry to claim enlightenment. If you're enlightened, you have lost the right to grumble. Nothing that happens in the world and nothing that happens to you should faze you at all. But it's a tall order. It's a tall order. See, on a movie screen, if it's a comedy, you'll laugh. If it's a tragedy, you'll cry. But in either case, you know it's a movie. It really doesn't matter to you. But can we react like that to life? Very difficult. We can't even think about it. It's just too difficult. First of all, of course, our first objection will be, "I don't understand this. How am I pure consciousness? This Chidananda Rupa Shivoham." That, don't worry. I can take care of it. Come to the Vedanta classes, we'll make you understand. But having understood that, to live accordingly, Swami Vivekananda says, in this path, the path of Jnana Yoga, he says, many people come to an understanding, few realize. What is the difference between understanding and realizing? Realizing is making it real in your life. Is it a fact? As pain is a fact, as sorrow is a fact, as frustration and unhappiness are facts. Like that, or even greater than that, is it a fact that I am limitless consciousness and so are all of these? Is it a fact like that? That we would hesitate. I have understood it. It's a nice philosophy, but it doesn't seem to be a fact to me, and not yet at least. And I find it very difficult to live by. Vivekananda says this path consists chiefly in the control of the senses. What it means is, once you have understood this, you have to live accordingly. That means you have to have perfect control over the body-mind. And very few of us can claim that. Very few of us can claim that. Vivekananda, in one of the hymn verses written to him, look at the verse, it goes like this. It's a shloka in praise of Vivekananda. Ramakrishna Anandaji's brother disciple wrote it. It says, "Anitya drishyeshu vivichya nityam tasmin samadhatta ihasma leelaya viveka vairagya vishuddha chittam yoso viveki tamaham namami." I salute that Vivekananda. This is Ya Viveki, that Viveki, the one who is possessed of that knowledge of Vivekananda. Viveka means to separate, who is able to separate the reality from the appearance. Right here in this world, the reality is there and the appearance is there. For us, it's mixed up. We don't see it. Right here, you are awareness, and there is a body, and there is a mind, and there is a personality. It's all together. We are unable to separate it in our understanding. Vivekananda was able to separate it. Viveki. What did he do? Anitya drishyeshu. In this transient universe of drishya means whatever we experience. Whatever you see, hear, smell, taste, touch, whoever you are interacting with, all of it is impermanent. Anityam, anityam, sarvam anityam. Impermanent, all is impermanent. Transient, all is transient. Momentary, all is momentary. Empty, all is empty. Anityam, sarvam anityam. Kshanikam, sarvam kshanikam. Shunyam, sarvam shunyam. The Buddha. So what? Atayeva, therefore, dukkham, sarvam dukkham. In the midst of this transient, ever-changing universe, Vivicya Nityam, Vivekananda was able to extract, to see, to discern, to identify the eternal reality right here, God in this universe. And not only that, not only having understood, having discerned it, it's not all that difficult to discern. We will learn in the Vedanta classes how to discern this, but the next part is difficult. Tasmin samadhatta ihasma lilaya. He became absorbed in that eternal reality, just like play, lilaya. And it is so easy for him to identify himself and realize that I am this. Why was he able to do it? Why can't we do it? This is Viveka Vairagya Vishuddha Chitta. Because his mind was purified by this knowledge, Viveka, and by dispassion, renunciation. Purified of all desires and impurities of the mind. So that kind of mind, if you have, and this knowledge, if we have, together leads to enlightenment. It's what's called Jivan Mukti, free here in this life. But the groundwork, if we don't have, then what happens is, as one master put it, in that case, what will happen is when you study Vedanta, you feel you have learned a nice philosophy. That's it. We'll say, but my life didn't change. It's a great thing. I'm beginning to get what's being said. It's the grandest thing that I've ever studied. But studied. What am I? Americans would say, you're still the same dude. You're not Brahman, you're still the same dude. No, it's not working. So, what can we do? This is the thing. Study Vedanta, understand Vedanta, that's absolutely essential. Because Sri Ramakrishna said in Bengali, Vedanta gyan, Advaita gyan, achole vede, jaichatai kar. Tie the knowledge of non-duality to the hem of your cloth. So the saris you see the ladies here wearing, in the traditional days, they would tie the keys, a bunch of keys of the household to the hem of the sari. Like this, they would tie. So that's what Sri Ramakrishna is referring to. Tie the knowledge of non-duality to the hem of your cloth. And that means make it foundational in your spiritual life. What else is to be done? What else can we do? This is the thrust of what Vivekananda is going to say in this talk. And I'll share this with all of us. We'll think about it. This is Vivekananda's unique thing. Everything Vivekananda, just like his master Sri Ramakrishna, was tremendously practical. Tremendously practical. If there's one difference between Shankara and Vivekananda, Shankara, traditional Advaita Vedanta cannot be faulted on this. You might say then it's a theoretical thing. What use is it? No, it cannot be faulted because they have made it very clear in the very beginning that who is qualified for this. You need to cultivate Viveka, Vairagya, the sixfold treasure, Samadhamadi, Shat Sampatti, and Mumukshutva. What does it mean? The ability to discern between the eternal and the non-eternal. A deep dispassion, renunciation of the non-eternal, of the transient worldly goals and ambitions and projects. And the sixfold treasure, Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Tiriksha, basically is spiritual discipline, control of the body-mind. And an intense desire to be free. This is called Sadhan Chatushta, the fourfold qualifications. You say, so what? And then you come to Vedanta class. What will happen then? When you study Vedanta and you get a clarity about it, you'll be free. It's done. But if you don't have sufficient levels of excellence in those, if the gas tank is empty, you're running on empty. What do they say? You're running on fumes. Then when the push comes to shove, we find it very difficult to walk the talk. We understand. It's not that we don't understand. It's not even that we don't want to be spiritual. We want to be spiritual. We understand we want to be spiritual. But we find it immensely difficult. We find it immensely difficult. Now, what do you do there? This is Vivekananda. This is the answer I'm going to share from that. If you look at the original, freedom, that thing. Okay, here goes. Vivekananda said, there are these two paths. One is the path of the neti, not this, the negative path. Not the body, not the mind, and witness consciousness, and so on. And like Shankaracharya sings, Mano Buddhi Ahankar Chittani Nama. I'm not the mind, intellect, ego, memory. I am pure consciousness and bliss. I am Shiva. That's the negative path. And Vivekananda says that's the most powerful direct, what is nowadays called a direct path. Why is it most powerful? Why is it most direct? Because that is our real nature. How much does it take to become what you already are? Nothing. If only we have ignorance, a veil of not understanding, not getting it, that veil has to be removed. The moment the veil is removed, you realize what you are. And that sets us free. The truth sets us free. So that's the direct path. But as Vivekananda says, that very few people can just take that and go straight and become enlightened. If it was so simple, one person can object here. If it's so simple and so direct, there should be plenty of enlightened people walking around. But there aren't. Doesn't seem to be. Maybe there are. Maybe I'm the only one who's not enlightened. Everybody else is enlightened. I just don't see it. But there doesn't seem to be. It can't be that easy, probably. Probably it isn't that easy. Where's the problem? Vivekananda says, I know where the shoe pinches. So there is this other path. And he says, he calls it the iti, this. In the 1880 path, you turn away from what is in it. You recognize the appearance as an appearance, the movie as a movie. The world, the body, people, everything are part of that, or an appearance in that one limitless consciousness, which I am, which you are. But in this other path, the positive path, the path of this, you affirm the reality of the world, you affirm your own personal identity. You feel like a person in a world. All of us do that. All right, start with that. Vivekananda says, start from where we are. And he says, using this world, not giving it up all of a sudden, using this world, experience everything in this world, and slowly progress towards the same goal of enlightenment. Perhaps it's a slower path, Vivekananda says, but it's a surer path. We go through the world and attain that. How so? He says, it's all from the Gita, Ashtavakra Gita, Bhagavad Gita. Except the enlightened one, everybody else in this world has to act, has to be in the midst of action and work. Nobody is spared this, because it's the very nature. Nature will compel you. Bhagavad Gita says, nobody can remain in this world for even a moment without doing something. But that's also true of the enlightened one. No. The enlightened one knows that I am pure consciousness, Brahman, the ultimate reality, beyond action. From that perspective, the enlightened one is beyond action. The body mind of the enlightened one will be in the middle of action. But the enlightened one does not identify with that body mind. Only the enlightened one is exempt. They may or not engage with this world. Some do, some do not. And even those who do, they do it for our benefit. They don't have anything to gain from it. But for the rest of us, first point, the first proposition, action is compulsory. We'll have to do something in this world. Second, all of us are acting in this world, but for what? Why are we all doing all this? What's going on here? And here Vedanta says a grand claim. All of this, what we are doing, is taking us towards enlightenment. It is the entire universe, going back to what Vivekananda said at the beginning, has come from freedom into bondage and going back to freedom. Come from its infinite nature, apparently limited by time, space, causation, Maya, and all moving back to its unlimited nature. And so are we. And that is the cause of all our action. Vivekananda says, the robber, in another lecture, the robber robs, the murderer murders. The greedy man accumulates wealth. The pleasure seeker seeks pleasure. I'm paraphrasing. All of this. And the saint meditates and the philosopher philosophizes. All artist paints and writes. All of this going towards one goal. You might say, no, that's not true. You may say this, but we don't say it. We don't know why we are doing it. Vedanta analyzes it. Aurobindo says, all life is yoga. All life is yoga. If you recognize it and you deliberately do it, you'll be called a yogi or a spiritual practitioner and so forth. If you don't know it, you'll just be, I'm living my life, that's all. But what's going on here? Why is somebody chasing money? Why is somebody chasing pleasure? Why is somebody chasing power? Why is somebody chasing nothing and just being lazy? Why is somebody desperately unhappy? Why is somebody having the time of their lives? What's going on here? all of it is this tremendous movement from the limited to the unlimited. We are seeking our true nature. Now, Vivekananda, this talk is so beautifully, logically arranged, Action is compulsory for all of us. Second, all of this action truly is taking us towards enlightenment. However, if we do not know what's going on here, we tend to get stuck. What happens is, we tend to seek that unlimited in this limited universe, naturally, because this is all we know. Your so-called Brahman, Atman, God, we don't know. We know only what we see here. And so we seek to find fulfillment here, and we fail, again and again and again, lifetime after lifetime, till we learn our lessons. Vivekananda says, this world is a gymnasium where we are building up our spiritual muscles. By working it out, we begin to get experience in this world. And now he is ready to deliver the central theme, the central message of this particular talk. Vivekananda says, then what we need to do is to recognize that it's all a movement towards our real self, freedom, and the secret of how we are to engage with the world. Secret of how we are to engage with the world. Since we cannot turn away directly from the world, like like Ramakrishna, Vivekananda himself. We can't do that. We can't recognize the reality and say, I am Brahman, and that's it. My problems are solved. Even if I say it, I will know in the heart of hearts, I still have problems. I cannot give up my right to grumble so fast. I still have complaints about things. So how do I live in this world? Not give everything up. So that was Sri Krishna's advice to Arjuna also. Teaching him Vedanta, that you are the Atman. Now what? You still have to fight this battle. But how? How? You were doing it for some worldly reasons earlier. Now you have to do it for a spiritual reason. How do I spiritualize my life? Which life? Not the philosophical Vedantic life. This life, this family, this job, this my personal life. How do I spiritualize it? And Vivekananda has one direct, the secret. He says, what we have to do is learn the secret of work. There's one secret of work. The secret of work is this. It is not the life itself, the work itself, the activities in this world which cause us misery and trouble. It is our attachment which causes misery and trouble. He gives a couple of examples. One example he gives is, so it's a beautiful painting which you admire, and then gets burned, and you say, oh, it was a shame it got burned. If it was your painting, you would be devastated. If you owned it. If some other rich person owns it, you say, okay, too bad. What's the difference? It's the same painting. It was destroyed. But mine, it's mine. That is what causes problems. And Vivekananda says, what we need to do, his words are, stop this tentacle of selfishness which goes out there and catches hold of things. He says, have everything. You have a personality, a body, mind, a life, and possessions, and gadgets, and money, and a family. He gives the example of children. Yes, have the child. But internally, don't say mine. Yeah, you worship the Lord through that child. You don't have to tell anybody. Your kids will think you're crazy if you do that. It says, you have to stop going to that Vedanta. You're learning all sorts of stupid things there. No, but internally. And remember, it might seem like imagination at the beginning. But the fact is, this is true. What we are doing, my child, my money, my property. So yeah, what's wrong with that? It's false. It's a delusion. Even the body. You see, even the body is provided by nature to you. Call it nature, God, the universe. You as consciousness, what is your relationship with the body? One sadhu put it very nicely. That you say, my body. How do we know? Do you have the papers for the body? If somebody pulls you over, the cops, they show me the papers. Not for the car, for your body. Did somebody give it to you as a gift? Did you make it? Even your parents didn't make it. Nature did 99% of the work. How do you own something? We own the materials out of which something is made. Do we own the materials out of which did we make the the elements and the molecules and all. No, no. There's that old joke about a scientist who goes and tells a priest, we don't need God. We can make life in the laboratory. And the priest says, really? Show me. And the scientist says, but first you take a little bit of earth. And the priest says, first make your own earth. Have you made the materials? Do you own the materials out of which this body is made? No. We might say, but at least this body is mine because it obeys me. I can control it. I can use it for my purposes. Even that's not true. Even that's not true. Go to a physiotherapy unit where somebody is paralyzed, has a stroke and can't control one limb. You'll begin to see what a miracle it is that I can raise my hand. Moment something a little bit fails in this body, it's gone. Our control over the body is gone. One begins to see the body is a machine running like a train, or sometimes like a train wreck. We have so little control over it. In fact, that's good. Suppose we try to control the body and run the body. Nature suddenly, Mother Nature says, okay, it's your body, here are the keys. You run it. What will happen? Immediate medical crisis. What will happen? He tried to run his body, you have to call the ambulance, 911. Tremendous amount of things are going on in the body. It's impossible for us to run anything in this body. So even the body, we have no right to say it is my body. What right do you have to say it's my body? Everything in this universe, our life, other people, the activities that we do, our possessions, everything is given to us in trust there's only one owner. And we've been given all this for our spiritual development, moving from the infinite to the limited to the infinite again. That's part of the journey. That's why we have got this. It takes time to understand. What we do by mistake is, it's part of our development. We first of all think, I am this body. And then I reach out to the world to grab. Why? Because I want fulfillment, I want happiness, and that's how I do it. Vivekananda says, don't do that. Instead, there are these two paths, be detached. And he said this detachment is interesting. This is the crucial secret. Without attachment, remain involved. One way is, I'll be detached, I'll run away to the Himalayas, I'll put on orange robes and sit in a cave and meditate. So I'm detached. I don't have anything to do with anybody, as far as possible. Still, for my food, I have to go out and beg for my food. But everything else I'm detached. But here, Vivekananda is saying, and Vedanta is saying, and Krishna is saying in the Gita, you remain detached internally, but keep on doing exactly what you have been doing earlier. The same people, the same job, the same circumstances, you will find freedom. In the midst of all those limitations, you will find the taste of freedom. The moment we stop saying, I, me, mine, internally, externally, you can of course still say, otherwise it will lead to a lot of confusion. You suddenly say, these are not my kids anymore. No, they are. But internally, now Vivekananda says there are two ways of attaining this detachment. I'm just rushing through it. Two ways. One is without God, one is with God. Without God, the Sankhyan way might be there. All of nature is providing this for our spiritual development. I'm the witness, and in the midst of this, I'm using all of this for my spiritual growth. I'm not bringing God into the equation. But then Vivekananda says it's much easier, much sweeter if you bring God into the equation. That same Atman, Brahman, that limitless Brahman which we are talking about, there is the God of this universe, which has created, which is projecting this entire universe. So all of it belongs to God, including this body. There are these nice songs are there, that I worship you with what is thine. Mera kya jata hai? That is, it's with what is yours, I am worshipping you. There's nothing that I am giving up, because all of it, including this body, including this life, including all the powers of my thought and speech and creativity, everything is God given. And so we acknowledge that, and Vivekananda says, engage in this continuous sacrifice of the little self throughout the day. This continuous sacrifice of little self. I don't want anything for myself. Can I worship God in all activities? In the midst of your job, your family, your career, your possessions, your house, and in this body, in this life, all of it you step back from. It is the Lord's play, and not in disdain, not in the sense of, I don't want anyway, all of it's bad. No, not in that sense. Vivekananda says, blessed we are that we have been sent into, given this opportunity. Let the giver kneel down and offer, then let the receiver stand up and receive. It's a great opportunity because this is our opportunity to worship the infinite. That which we are trying to attain, we are seeing it in this form in all of. See, if the infinite is appearing as the finite through space-time causation, where is the infinite right now? It's right here. We don't see it, we don't understand it, but Vedanta claims this is what you are seeking, this Brahman. But it is appearing to you as these people, as this place, as your own life, as you're waking, dreaming, and sleeping. So you convert life into a worship of the divine, and the way to do it is by detachment. And the way to do it with detachment is, Vivekananda says, don't project that tentacle of selfishness. Reason for that also is, even if we project that tentacle of selfishness, which we have been doing lifetime after lifetime, we have not gained happiness. We have not gained fulfillment. Try this way. All it takes is switching internally just the paradigm. This is the takeaway from this talk, from Vivekananda's talk on freedom and the talk this evening, is just take away, try it mentally. Keep saying, I'm doing it for you, my Lord. I'm doing it for you. Thank you for putting me in these circumstances. Yes, it could be poverty. It could be people are misbehaving with me. It could be illness. All right, this is where you have put me. Let me offer this back. Vivekananda says, whatever happens in this world, good, bad, or indifferent, it is nothing to me. It is all I offer as a worship of thee. If I do well, I do not want the results. If I do badly, no matter. It is all thine. Then Vivekananda takes up another thing, duty. What do we normally do in our lives? What do we all explain it away as? It's duty. I am doing my duty to my parents, to my spouse, to my children, to my organization. Vivekananda is gazing on the idea of duty. He is quoting from the Ashtavakra. He says, duty is the midday scorching sun which scorches the innermost soul of humanity. What are these people doing? From morning till night, they are running 9-to-5 jobs, bringing up children, earning money, running, going and getting and accumulating and struggling in this world till day after day. Life is spent and they drop, Vivekananda's words, drop dead in harness. Duty is upon them. Duty is upon them. And he says, what is this duty? It is just like, covering with roses something which is very low. It is just a glorified way of naming this greed for gain, the desire and lust and greed. You turn it into duty, and there's a reason for that. But let us not forget what's behind that. And then we are yoked to it, and then we run through our lives because of this duty. This is what duty is. And there's a reason why it is done. Is duty useless? No, it's not useless. Vivekananda also points that out. For those who are tamasic, lazy, good for nothing, to kick them into action. But, somebody told this is an Americanism. Have you heard of KITA? K-I-T-A? He says, if nothing else works, it's called kick in the A. So society imposes duty on us. You're going to be lazy, good for nothing, but at least do your duty. Take care of your parents, take care of your family, take care of yourself at least. Don't be a good for nothing. No free lunch. So duty is useful to bring us up from the level of animals, from the level of children to being responsible adults. That much is the use of duty. But beyond that, in spiritual life, Vivekananda says, do the same things you're doing, but not because you're compelled by a sense of duty. Do it as free beings. This is a wonderful Kurukshetra battlefield for me to attain spiritual illumination, enlightenment. And therefore I do it. That's why I'm cooking the meal for the family. That's why I'm earning a paycheck for the family. And that's why I'm studying and doing my assignments. Not because I'm being compelled to do something. Because it's my spirit. See how we learn. There's a secret from monastic life. I remember once it was very difficult for me in the monastery. My duty was to serve food, rice, and there's huge cauldrons of rice, and you have to break that and load buckets, and then carry the bucket and serve 200 monks. And so it was hard work, and Calcutta weather, 100 degrees and 100% humidity. You were drenched, and I still remember standing unhappily. I don't like this. This doesn't seem very spiritual to me. Weakness. And the beauty of it is, that's the beauty of having this monastic attitude of whatever you're doing, it's a spiritual practice. So immediately my mind told me, walk out of here. Who's stopping you? If you think this is not for your good, it's not doing you any good spiritually. After all, you are here for enlightenment, right? For spiritual development. If this is not doing you spiritual good, walk out. Nobody's holding you back. So, as monks, whatever we do, we're doing in freedom. The same thing one can do in samsaric life also. Vivekananda says, do it in freedom, not because you're compelled by duty. And then he goes, powerful rhetoric. You have no duty. We have no duties. All duties are his. Or Sri Ramakrishna would say, her, the Divine Mother. All are her duties. She will get everything done. No work stops for any one of us. World will take care of yourself. Once somebody came to Swami Ramakrishna in Chennai, in the Ramakrishna Mutt there, and the gentleman had many projects for social development and reform. And he was explaining to Swami Ramakrishna Anandji what his plans were for future of society. Then after some time, Swami Ramakrishna Anandji Sashi Maharaj, he said, I wonder what God did before you were born. You have no duties. None of us have any duties, especially if you're spiritual seekers. All duties belong to the Lord. We are blessed that we have been given, the trusteeship of this, that we can develop spiritually by doing this spiritual practice in this family, in this company, in this school, wherever it is. You are free. And this will only reveal your freedom. That's all you're doing. Do it well, good. You don't want the results of that. Do it badly, no matter. It's still all the results lie with the Divine Mother. Vivekananda says, do this continuously throughout the day. Then he says, charge into the middle of the battlefield. You'll find peace. In the middle of samsara, in the middle of your career, in the middle of traffic, you'll find peace. Where there is no tentacle of selfishness. All of it is a wonderful place for my spiritual development, and this is what I'm doing. Let us pray. Vivekananda says, pray daily, that good, bad, or indifferent, none of it I take unto myself. All I offer unto thee, my Lord, and thus I am blessed day and night. This is how I pass my days. Thus I find and I taste freedom here and now. I won't belabor the point. Let's go into the Q&A. Thank you very much. Thank you. Before we start the Q&A, let me point out the direct path, as Vivekananda said, may be difficult, but it's important to understand it and study it. So we're going to study it this year. There is this book which I want to take up. It's called The Nectar of Supreme Knowledge, and it's actually an English translation of the Yoga Vasishta Sara, which is an essence of the huge text called Yoga Vasishta, 30,000 verses, but condensed into just over 200. And we did not have an English translation earlier, that's why I couldn't use it, but it's like one of my favorite books. So I'm going to teach from it, not verse by verse, the essence of the essence. So this is the essence of Yoga Vasishta. We'll take the essence of this over the next 1 or 2 years. And what the kids here have done is they have made a nice set for you. They have a little notebook and a pen and the book, and they have limited numbers here in the books. Where do they have it? The books. So those of you who want to attend the classes, There will be a class, at least one class every alternate month, maybe more than that. So you'll know the schedule. Do get your copy from here. And it's a way of supporting the ashram also. Good. Nectar of Supreme Knowledge. And they'll put up the schedule of classes. Question, raise your hand and they'll come to you. No questions, very clear, right? Yes. Somebody here? Yes. Tell us your name and ask the question.
Shurmila Manan. What is the difference between an enlightened person and a regular person who is trying to seek?
Yes.
You gave the answer. I got it a little bit, but not completely.
Yes, good question. What's the difference between an enlightened person and the regular person like us? We are trying to seek that enlightenment. Once they called me for an interview. This is for, they want to interview all enlightened beings. And I said, I'm not qualified. They changed it for all beings who are on their way to enlightenment. They said, okay, then I can get the interview. So on our way to enlightenment and enlightened, what's the difference? Okay, so who is an enlightened person? This is a question asked by Arjuna in the second chapter. Sthitapragyasya ka bhasha. How would you define a person who's enlightened? So basically, there are two aspects to it. One is called a paradigm shift, and the other one is called ethical manifestation. I'm putting it in this particular way. The enlightened person realizes, and I'm giving the answer in the background of Vedanta. The enlightened person realizes, I am not the body mind, which seems to be so default setting for all of us that we think we are this person. The enlightened person realizes, I am awareness. I am pure consciousness. I am not this physical body. The body is there, but I am not this physical body. I am not even the mind. And this one consciousness, I am the one consciousness in all beings, and the entire universe is an appearance in me. This non-dual consciousness I am, Aham Brahmasmi, this is a fact, not theoretical. Just as for me it's a fact, if I say I am Sarvapriyananda, this one. Like that, for the enlightened one, I am Brahman is a fact. This is what enables someone like Sri Ramakrishna to say that even when this body is dying from cancer, I am in great bliss. How? What is it he knows? Like Vivekananda said, there is a limitless existence. It has appeared as this limited existence through time, space, and causation. That limitless existence I am, Brahman I am, not body mind. This realization is called enlightenment. It must become a fact, not just theoretical or not just saying it. That's one side of enlightenment. The other side are the effects, what I call ethical manifestation. So the qualities of an enlightened being, the fearlessness, the peace, the compassion, the selflessness, what you expect from a saintly person, all those qualities also must come. If I say I am Brahman, but I am angry, I am jealous, I am always complaining about others, very peculiar Brahman. It doesn't match. So it must be manifested. That's why Vivekananda's beautiful definition of religion as the manifestation of the divinity already within ourselves. So that requires me to know the divinity within myself, who I am, what does it mean even, divinity within myself. And second, to manifest it in life, in my thinking, in my speech, in my action. This is the difference between the enlightened person and us. That's why what we discussed today, even after a thorough study of Vedanta and clarity about Vedanta also, what is the problem which Vivekananda is talking about? He says, in the direct path, one may come to an understanding, but you find it very difficult to manifest it in life, to live it. Why do we find it difficult to live it? Because that mind has not been purified enough. If the mind is purified, like classical Advaita Vedanta wants, the entry condition, purified mind, then the knowledge you can manifest easily. You can live according to the knowledge. But if my understanding is one thing, and when I try to live it, I find resistance. Even this, what I just said, not me, not mine. It is all yours, my Lord. You try it. When we try it, we'll see what happens. We'll find a resistance. Then that demon within, that animal within will be revealed in its nakedness, that it doesn't want to let go. It doesn't want to let go. It doesn't even internally, quietly, privately also, it doesn't want to say it is all the Lord's. It feels scared to say that. This miserable little life also, it wants to cling to itself. When you want to say, let go, let it all be the Lord and be free, you see some sullenness, uneasiness from inside. That's the animal. That's the demon within us. That's what makes us suffer, which we can't let go. Vivekananda says, let go thy hold, sannyasi bold. It is thine hand that drags thee from birth to death. You are holding on to the rope that is dragging you across lifetime to lifetime. But let go. We don't want to let go. We're too used to this, even this misery. Try it a little bit. Once you get the taste of that freedom and peace and joy, because many have tried it. Those who are sadhakas and sadhikas, they have internally tried it and they are tasting that joy.
Very well explained. Thank you so much. Now, the second one, tangled to this.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
Just one more, please. I'll just tangle to this one only. So now, what is the path towards that? Is it meditation? Or?
No, that's what we talked about. Meditation, definitely. Meditation, prayer, study, all of that. But first and foremost, please read that lecture by Vivekananda, Freedom. It's in his book, Karma Yoga. Freedom. I just given you a gist of it. The path is first and foremost internally letting go. It is yours, my Lord. This family, this child, this job, this body, this mind, it all belongs to you, my Lord. I will do my best here. This is how you spiritualize your existing life. Vivekananda says, he who runs away to meditate and die in a Himalayan cave has missed the way. He who plunges into the foolishness of this world has missed the way. So if you plunge into the world, you have missed the way. If you run away from the world, you have missed the way. What is the way then? This is the way is to divinize life itself. Wherever you are, whoever you are with, whatever circumstance. See, life, if everything is made by God, if there is a divinity behind all of this, suppose it's true, then it doesn't stand to reason that it is all against our spirituality. It must be something which will help us in our spirituality. So this very life where we are, start internally by connecting it to God. Yeah, I love sweets. I can't resist the cookie. All right. Vedanta will say that it's a dream. Forget it. You have pure consciousness. Consciousness doesn't want a cookie. Still, I can't give it up. In that case, have the cookie. Mentally offer it to Sri Rama Krishna or Sri Krishna, whatever is the deity you worship, and take it as prasad. Yeah, exactly. All the monks, all of us, it's a discipline with us. We don't even take a sip of water without offering it to God first. Everything that you eat, that's a practice. People you talk to, the divinity is in front of me, and if it's a client, if it's a family member, my response will be appropriate. But mentally, it is the Lord coming to me in this form. Not me, not mine. I am free. None of them belong to you. Not even your child, your spouse, your father, mother, not even your body. None of it belongs to you. Really, it doesn't. Really, it doesn't. It's a scary thought. None of it. We have this delusion. It belongs to us. It doesn't. The world does not wait for you. Name for word in Sanskrit is samsara, samsarati, that which is continuously slipping out of your fingers. We think, somebody said, oh Swami, this attachment, non-attachment is not for us, for you monks, but we are very much attached. You are not. You think you are attached, you are not. What are you attached to? Whatever you are attached to is continuously slipping away from you. You can't hold on to one thing in this world. Whom will you hold on to? People. They will go old and they will die, or they will grow up and go away. Whom will you hold on to? Your own body. It will age and die one day. What will you hold on to? Your own mind. Thoughts continuously change all the time. Thousands of thoughts apply. You can't control it at all. Arjuna says to Krishna, it's like controlling the wind. I can't control the mind. What will you hold on to? One monk put it so powerfully. He says the strongest human attachment, strongest attachment in life, in biology, is for the mother with her young child, baby. And when she falls asleep, she forgets the baby also. And she happily goes in. I've been told that mothers really want that sleep because they're sleep deprived. Yeah. Therefore, she happily goes into the sleep, forgetting the closest attachment to the child, completely forgot. What are you attached to? Just acknowledge the fact that you're not attached actually. It's a strange idea. That's becoming a monk internally. To be spiritual, the monkey must become a monk. What is the monkey? The mind. Monkey mind. It must become the monk mind. And that the crucial factor is this non-attachment. Acknowledge the world as, call it Maya, call it belonging to the Lord. Swami Turiyananda, let me put it this way. He put it beautifully. He said, Vivekananda could say, I am Brahman. It suited him. But Take Manato. And in Bengali, he said, Amader oto sahoje ashe na. It doesn't come so easily, honestly, to say that I am Brahman. So we say, Thou, my Lord, to me. You, the Lord, are everything. This ultimate reality coming through time, space, and causation is this universe. What is that ultimate reality? It's the divine.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your excellent summarization of the.
Yes.
Thank you for your excellent summarization of the Vivekananda's philosophy. But what I was trying to fail to understand, when we offer everything to God, whether good, bad, and I know by my education, culture, experience, something is bad, how can I offer to God? Like a work I don't want to do. Suppose I'm going to the battle, I don't want to fight the war, but I am by the state. I've been assigned to fight the war. So what will be my decision?
You can offer everything to God.
So,
Vivekananda said, good, bad, whatever it is. We have no duties in this world. Those are all her duties or his duties.
so
And we have been put in that situation. As he said, if you do well, very good, but you don't take the results of that. If we do not do well, I'm doing something which I regret later, that also you offer to the Lord.
but then again, I'm against doing it in the good. Suppose a king who's torturing the subjects, if I don't stand up or speak up,
Then you speak up, stand up and speak up. If you're an activist, you're speaking up for a social cause. See, it is what you believe in. With the God-given intellect and knowledge which God has given us, what we believe to be right, we will do that. Whether it is ultimately right or not, we don't know. But right now, I think this is the thing to be done. I will do it and then offer the results to God.
even if I know that it will be a worse outcome for myself, maybe I'll be in prison.
Who knows? Who knows what will happen? We don't know. Let me read out something from it. This is the book Karma Yoga, that lecture. Let me read out the end of that lecture. Very rousing and powerful words. He says, in so working, when you are working, we should not think that we can help even the least thing in this universe. We cannot. We can only help ourselves in the gymnasium of this world. This is the proper attitude of work. If we work in this way, if we always remember that our present opportunity to work thus is a privilege, which we have been given to us for our own benefit. It's an enlightened selfishness. That by doing good to the world, actually the first beneficiary is I myself in my spiritual journey. This is a privilege which has been given to us. We shall never be attached to anything. Millions like you and me think that we are great people in the world, but we all die. And in 5 minutes, the world forgets us. But the life of God is infinite. He is the ever-active providence. All power is His, and within His command, through His command, the winds blow. He's translating from the Upanishad, Kathopanishad and all. The sun shines and the earth lives, and death stalks upon the earth. He is the all in all. He is all and in all. We can only worship Him. Give up all the fruits of work. Do good for its own sake. Then alone will come perfect non-attachment. The bonds of the heart will thus break. Vidyate Hridaya Granthi, Mundaka Upanishad is quoting. The bonds of the heart will thus break. That means ignorance will go on. And we shall reap perfect freedom. This freedom is indeed the goal of Karma Yoga. Yeah. Somebody wanted to ask questions.
Swamiji,
Please
namaste.
take.
My name is Shri. I read it somewhere that Swami Vivekananda said that everyone creates his own world and take it with him. I just tried to Google it and I'm not able to find it. So the first thing is really Swami said that. And does it mean that me, mine, and I want? That's what he.
It's true. I mean, I don't know where he said it, but in a number of places you can find similar things. The real and the apparent man, there is one lecture. Absolute and manifestation, real and apparent man. Those lectures are there in Jnana Yoga. What we see of the world right now, just think about it, even in just physiological terms, scientific terms, forget Vedanta and philosophy. Right now, you know what you are seeing right now, the people and whatever you're experiencing, you are not experiencing the world directly. What's happening is, say for example, light is bouncing off all these things and reflected and comes to the eyes. From the eyes, this image is formed there, and then it transformed immediately into impulses in the optic nerves, which races along to the brain. In the brain, somehow, nobody knows how today. Somehow, those bursts of electricity are converted into this sight, this glorious sight which I'm getting right now. Where is this? This which I'm seeing right now, where is it? It's here. Where is even here? It's here. The whole thing, who can deny it? Which doctor will deny it? Which biologist will deny it? The whole thing we are seeing is being created in the brain, by the brain. That is what a materialist will say. That much is very clear. The world we are seeing is nothing but ourselves. There is something outside, no doubt, beyond us. But what it is, we don't know. One scientist was saying, the ex-director of IIT Kharagpur, he was saying, you think you're seeing the world as it is. You're not. Suppose your eyes were replaced by ultraviolet senses. You would see the world entirely different. A bee sees it differently. A rattlesnake sees it as, infrared waves of heat. Suppose, are you think you're touching the world? No. Suppose you had laser beams instead of fingers. You would penetrate down to the, the molecular levels or atomic levels of that. It would be a different thing you're touching altogether. So, definitely, almost everything that we are experiencing is entirely subjective. That's biology, pure biology, no philosophy required. It's not idealism. It's just biology which is telling us whatever we are experiencing, we are creating for ourselves with our brain and nervous system, based on information coming from outside. Donald Hoffman, who's a cognitive neuroscientist, I had a dialogue with him recently. He's in UC Irvine, I think. Please sit. So he was saying that we are sort of like a virtual reality in our brains. Our brains are like these virtual reality machines. We're continuously creating this reality and presenting it to ourselves, to us as conscious beings. One argument might be, all right, that may be true, but whatever we are experiencing must be very close to the actual reality. Why? There's a revolutionary argument. If what you are experiencing is not close to this, does not map the reality outside closely, then you would not survive. Survival of the fittest, Darwinian necessity is that unless you're adapted to your environment, you will not be able to survive in that environment. So the argument is, we are actually experiencing the environment as it is. That's why we are able to respond effectively, and so we are able to survive. So even if it is true that everything is being reconstructed in our brains, but what is being reconstructed is faithful to the actual, the origin. It's a good mapping. Donald Hoffman says it's a wrong argument. He says, very interesting point he makes. He says that Darwinian evolution does not require you to see reality as it is. Darwinian evolution requires you to adapt to the environment as best as you can for your survival. And this adaptation may require you to see reality as it is not. Why? He gives a very nice example. Computer screen. So on our computers, the computer is there. When we handle it, what do we see? We see icons, desktop, all these things. But that is very far from the reality of the computer, which is ones and zeros, which is bursts of electricity, which is the integrated circuit. How far it is from the code which it is running? How far is that code from the machine language which it is running? How far is the machine language from the actual integrated circuits? That's the physical reality of the computer. If we had to deal directly with that, ones and zeros, then you would never get your assignments done in time. Impossible. We wouldn't be able to manipulate that machine if it was presented to us as it actually is. We couldn't do it. So it is presented to us in a form which we can manipulate, which is very different from the actual reality of the machine. The desktop with its icons and all has almost nothing to do with how the machine functions. Similarly, we are being presented with a shorthand for the nature, not nature as it is. It would be impossible. We'd be overwhelmed into paralysis if we actually had a deluge of the radiation that is coming in from nature into our senses. We wouldn't be able to handle it. So what we are seeing is a virtual reality. And some have taken it even further. If you Google it, there's a scientist called Nick Bostrom, scientist and philosopher. He says it's not only like a virtual reality, we are in a virtual reality. And he has given a statistical analysis. Suppose such virtual realities were possible, then there will be hundreds of thousands of such VR universes. And then what is the statistical probability that this is the one real universe? No. The probability is we are living in one of those simulations. And just for amusement, there's this philosopher, Slavoj Žižek. Somebody heard of him? Thank God. He's a crazy guy. He's one of the world's leading experts on Hegel. I think he's Serbian, probably. I met him a couple of times in New York. Mad guy. Literally, I think he's brilliant, but also a little nuts. But he says, half humorously in one place, he says, it's quite possible that we are living in a virtual reality, the computer game people program. And those who have played or programmed computer games, they know this, that there is a limit to that programming. So in a computer game, you can walk around in an environment, you can do things. But there are parts of that environment, a forest, a house, which are not meant for playing. Those parts have not been programmed. So in the game, you cannot go into those parts because nothing has been programmed there. There's nothing there. So non-playable parts are there. He says, God has programmed this universe and we're trying to understand what it is. And he says, God, like any programmer, human programmer, there's a limit to what programming the human programmer has done. And God never thought we could go so far in discovering what's going on. So we have come to quarks and we're thinking of superstrings. And then what's beyond that? And Slavoj Žižek says, maybe nothing. God hasn't programmed anything more there. God never thought that these monkeys would evolve so far as to probe his programming. So that's the limit of our human understanding. Finished. Science is finished there. So can we close and get a final answer to what reality is? He says, no, maybe not. You can't get anything further. A limited, fractured understanding of reality, and that might be the end of science also. Just a thought. Nick Bostrom. Look it up. Nick Bostrom. Do we have time? Or we are running out of time? Yes. Last question.
Shubir, Samsara and Karma relationship, struggling with that.
Yes, our samsara is produced by karma. He says, Vivekananda says, the doctrine of karma holds what we have now is the result of past karma. It is more or less predetermined. So it's not random. There are causes and conditions which have given rise to them. And more or less Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism all agree on this. And it's also sort of common sense. All it is saying is what is by samsara, it has certain causes. That's all it is saying. Only extension why it is part of religion, why are we calling it faith then? It's saying that we have constructed this. And in that case, we must have existed before we came into the samsara. And we will exist after we pass away from the samsara. One sadhu put it very beautifully. He said, Gambhir Siddhanta Mahatmaji. These are very profound doctrines because people who don't agree on anything, the Buddhist who does not agree on the existence of God, who does not agree on the existence of Atma, Brahman, nothing. But that Buddhist also agrees on karma and rebirth. All Buddhists, all Hindus, all Jains and Sikhs, all Indian religions, it's sort of axiomatic that samsara is produced by karma, by action. So Vivekananda put it this way: whatever we have done in the past has produced this. Sort of trivially, I mean, it must have. And how we react to it now will produce the future. But remember, one thing I forgot to mention in this topic: freedom and karma. This is not spirituality. Freedom lies beyond karma. So one must rise above this. Let me complete the quotation from Vivekananda which I gave. This is relevant here. Good, good, bad, bad, and none escape the law. Whosoever wears a form, we can call it samsara. Whosoever is in samsara wears the chain too. Then what is spirituality? What is Vedanta? Vivekananda next says, but far beyond name and form is Atman ever free. Know thou art that, sannyasi bold. Say Om Tat Sat Om. So the way to freedom from this cycle, and you say, why should we want freedom? We do. That's why we are doing everything. We really want limitlessness and freedom. That's what we are seeking. So, that we are already that Brahman. And through Maya, we are appearing as this and experiencing it as samsara. And we must recognize ourselves as we truly are. That's the whole goal. So to go beyond karma, through karma, beyond karma. One is to turn away from it immediately, realize what you are, and done. But that's so difficult. And if we find ourselves unable to do it, then what we talked about today, going through this life, same husband, wife, father, mother, children, grandchildren, same office and boss and school and hospital, whatever it is, same life, same body, same thing, we let it continue. In and through that, do just one thing: withdraw the tentacle of I and mine. Acknowledge, if you believe in God, some divinity is there. You have put me in this situation. This is the Kurukshetra I have been put in. I continuously give up, make this great sacrifice throughout the day, the sacrifice of this little self to the Lord. Not I, but thou. Like Turiyanji said, আমরা বলতে পারি না, আমাদের সাজে না, I am Brahma, that I am saying that. Vivekananda could say that. But we say, thou, my Lord. Tumi, tumu, not me. That is the way out. So all spirituality seeks to go beyond causality. That's one point I forgot to mention. All spirituality seeks to go beyond karma.
Okay, we have the last question from here.
Swamiji, namaste. My name is Rasmi. So I have a question. I just wanted to understand the basics basically. So I just said like in the karma yoga. So whatever happening in this current life, the issues we are facing, that has a chain to our past life actually. So my question is like, what is the guarantee that there was a past life? I mean, in my current life, this might be my first life also. So if I mean in this particular life, the problems or issues.
Why are we talking about past lives then? So if we accept the doctrine of karma, it becomes inevitable that there is a past life. Why? Because if we say whatever we are seeing in our lives is the result of past karma. Imagine when a baby is born. They're born into very different circumstances. Their health, their parents, their economic status, which place they're born in, the culture they're born in, the religion they're born, very, very different. So how did these differences arise, good and bad? If the baby is born just then, it started just then. The baby has not done anything. How did all these things come? So the idea is these are the results of past karma. So that sentient being, that being we think of as the baby in front, baby is just the body. The baby is the baby body. But the being in that body, embodied being, is an ancient being which has existed in past lives. And in this life also we do so many things. We say that Hitler was such an awful person. He was not punished enough. So he'll be punished later, don't worry. It is on the agenda. So our karma extends to future life. So basically, if you accept causality, karma, then past life, future life becomes inevitable. That's why all the schools of Hindu, Buddhist, Jain, Indian schools, which accept karma, they also accept punarjanma, many lifetimes. It is logically implied by karma, causality. Otherwise, they say logically the fault will be kritanasha and akrita abhyupagama. Akrita abhyupagama is a Sanskrit word. It means that which has not been done will arise suddenly. Without any cause, you will get effects. And kritanasha means that which you have done, you're not getting the result of that. If we are dead at the death, physical body dies and then we are dead, nothing more remains, then all the karma that we did in this life, good and bad, what about the result of that? And when we are born, that's the beginning, this is the first life, how did all those differences come in my life? What is the reason why somebody is born into a rich family, somebody is born in Somalia, somebody is born in Connecticut? What's the difference? Why? Because that person will probably get a bad life, and this person will probably be given a wonderful life. Why? What did the baby do? So those questions, that kind of logic is there. That because of that, we believe in past lives and future lives. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.